Hello, everybody. My name is Miles, and I'm back here on X-Rays, where knowledge meets inspiration in the intricate dance of industry evolution. Today, I'll be your guide as we sit right at the intersection of education, workforce development, and corporate excellence. Now, we all know that success in business isn't just about products or services, it's actually about people. And when we talk about preparing the next generation of industry leaders, one name stands out: ACI Global and e-Quip. So we've invited once again a man who spent his career ensuring that businesses and professionals don't just meet standards, they set them. He's been on a mission to build future leaders through the ISO Scholarship Cadetship program. This initiative is equipping young minds with the skills, mindset, and global standards they need to lead in an increasingly competitive world. Let's hear more about this from the man himself, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of ACI Global and Equip, Ian Erskine. Beautiful morning
Yes,
to you, Ian.
yes, and a beautiful morning to you. And it's been a very special morning for myself as we were discussing off air.
Yeah.
And yes, so wonderful day. And I think it emphasises the need for the scholarship cadetship programs. And yes, so I'm looking forward to telling you a little bit more about it.
Yes, and I'm excited. Thank you so much for being with us today, Ian. You've always emphasized that an organization's greatest asset is its people. So let's go back and start with an overview of ACI Global's ISO Scholarship Cadetship Program. What inspired its creation and how is it shaping the next generation of industry leaders?
Well, for years I've been in industry, and again, as you quite rightly emphasised in your introduction, people matter, and it's people that make businesses successful. And not everyone has that ability to step up and become a high achiever. Not everyone has that ability to get into that really dream job straight off from work. Quite often, people don't have the ability to do it. Perhaps they have special needs, perhaps their literacy is a little bit behind, and
Yeah.
that's why we've put it in there to address all those needs.
Uh,
So, and we put it out into the market on a needs basis, right? And it's specifically there for people to take on that journey to become a high achiever, right?
mhm. Right.
Now, um, it's there to address resource needs, literacy and special needs, as I've said, and it's available for schools, colleges, organisations, or even industry groups. For argument's sake, it could be available for the aged care industry group, something like that. Okay, and and we make the point very strongly is that it's just not a piece of paper. Okay, it actually involves the ability for the candidate to actually go online into the ISO e-Quip quality software program. They do a recognition of their prior learning and their current competence, right? So that's a very big part of it. They then talk to myself mainly at the start, and then I will then assign different facilitators wherever they are. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It also includes the onboarding and induction process for
Yeah.
them to understand what a new business is about. Okay.
Mhm.
And we've also added in there the module ISO quality assurance, understanding a quality organisation. Okay. And yeah, so all that's involved. And I guess the only criteria for the participant or the recipient is they need to be able to have an organisation in mind or a company that they'd like to go and work for, so that we can then approach them and let them know that someone's interested in being employed by them or in that type of organisation. And that's the only requirement, that they must have what we call a sponsoring organisation.
Yeah. So high quality organization with high quality people makes a great team towards sustainable success. Again, the goal here is to be a high achiever, and investing in young talent at such a foundational stage is like planting an orchard instead of just, picking apples. You're building a sustainable future, not just filling short-term gaps. Now, this program is specifically designed for students in years 10 to 12, if I'm not mistaken, which is such a pivotal stage for career direction. How does ACI Global ensure these young talents gain real-world industry-ready skills that align with corporate sustainability and ISO standards?
Well, the very important part is the startup of it, getting it into schools.
Mhm.
And once we're able to get it in schools and embedded in schools, then the next step starts where we can actually be talking to their teachers, right? The students will have this for them to access when they are able to, as dictated by the teachers, right? But they can go in at any time and work through the modules, right? But again, the point we make is we're providing it to the schools so that in years 8 to 10 and even from 12 and even in university, if people are wanting to leave universities, they have the ability for this scholarship and cadetship program, and it gives them the ability to be up on the headhunters list, so to speak. So
Yeah.
often it is quite known that organisations and businesses are looking for people that are coming out of school or out of university, and they approach different bodies to get a bit of a leg in and a look in. Now, this will put these people right up the forefront, okay?
Uh-huh.
They can actually start looking, and for argument's sake, a person in year 8 may be eyeing off working in a fish and chip shop, right? Now, what we will do, the student and the facilitator, it could be me, right? I'd be talking to them, and they might come up and say, "Look, I've earmarked this place where I'd like to. We always go in as a family, get our fish and chips. I'd love to be
Yeah.
able to do some part-time work." So what we do, we approach that organisation, we get their details, and say, "Look, we've got young Joey or young Jill wants to come and work for you, right? Part-time to start with." And so we'll get their needs in reference to onboarding and induction. We'll
Yeah.
then put that into the e-Quip software for the candidate to actually work their way through that, so that the moment they leave school, they can walk straight out of school and they're straight into a job.
Uh-huh. Right.
Now, dependent on the schools, it could also work whereby the teachers can proportion part-time daily activities for these candidates, where they could go out of school and spend 2 hours working in a shop or in an organisation during school hours, because that's what we used to do when we went to high school. We were allowed a number of hours per week to go and work in separate organisations, right? Didn't quite work out for me because I always wanted to work on the farm, and it was about half an hour away, so that didn't work for me. But anyway, but that was the general idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
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 it's amazing how you're turning education, Ian, into real world preparation instead of just, textbook theory. I mean,
yeah.
I wish someone had handed me an industry playbook at that age instead of just a what do you want to be when you grow up questionnaire. Right. But then again, aside from learning the rules, ACI Global is about continuous improvement. How does this program equip students with technical knowledge and foster a mindset of lifelong learning and leadership in their professional journeys?
um, because they are proportioned to a mentor or a facilitator.
Yeah.
And basically, what we say is that that's for the 3-year CPD program. So 3 years continuous professional development, but we do make the point to all the candidates that that's ongoing. That could actually be for a lifetime, lifelong journey. And we encourage them to do that, because when they finish their first 3 years, we generally find that they're wanting to add more schools and you're wanting to continue to improve. So we've simply assigned different courses, additional courses to them. And this is why we always talk about driving and striving to be a higher achiever at all times. And that's where we, as a training provider, are very different, because not only is it a 3-year CPD agreement, but it's ongoing. So it's like an ongoing commitment to excel and achieve meritocracy.
Yeah.
Because as we say right at the very beginning, this is all to do with merit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not so much in what you did in the past. Yes, we take all that into account, but what we want to ensure is that you're shooting for your goals. You're shooting for your passions and your dreams. Because you would remember when you were at school, you had dreams of being, you might have had dreams of being a leading actress or something like that. And what I like to do as these people's mentors is to encourage that. And too often I find that people go through school and then they're either directed or they're sort of coerced into going to university, or they could be coerced going directly to TAFE, when that may well not be exactly what they want to do, right? So that's where we're giving the cadetship to the people so that they can then look, well, okay, yes, we always go as a family to get our fish and chips at Joe's Fish Shop, okay? I speak to them personally. They know me. I'm going to be bold. I'm going to front up there the next couple of days and ask, is there any part-time work? And they can then, if it's granted, they can say, well, we've partnered with ACI Global. I have a scholarship. They'll do the work on the inboarding and address all those issues, right? It just gives them that extra boost themselves personally, right?
Yeah.
And helps them drive for them to shoot for stars.
Shoot for the stars. Definitely. Yes. So aside from building high achievers, Ian, you're all about cultivating leaders who think ahead as well to deliver real value to the organization that they will serve, which is a really huge advantage, especially in industries that are evolving faster than ever. Now, my next question, Ian, is about bridging the gap between education and workforce demands. And that we know many businesses struggle with. How does this cadetship program serve as a bridge, helping both students and organizations prepare for the future of work?
Well, it does that because it's a partnership. It's a partnership between the organisation and the school and the participants of the school who are participating in the scholarship cadetship program. As you'll see on our website, we award up to a minimum of 20 per school, right? So every year, the school has the ability to take on 20 scholarship and cadetship programs. So they can be working, the teachers can be working with the students, working with organisations and businesses within the local towns, right? And things like that, so that they can ready both the organisation for the new participant, the scholarship person, they'll be being readied to understand what it's like to stand in front of a counter and serve customers, right? And understand that sometimes the customers can be a little bit fussy, but you have to understand that's what they want. And of course, there's a limit to that, as we all know. But that's where what we're trying to do is bring the organisation together towards the school. The school goes out towards the organisation. So there's an understanding between the organisation, the school itself, and the participants. Hence the awarding of 20 scholarships for each school, right? And we stipulate that for separate schools, because that's very important, because to me, schools, and in my day, it was very, very important for the school to be able to demonstrate to their principals, or the teachers to their principals, that when the student was getting to the end of their student days, there was an understanding where that student was going. Now, I want that to be made a very simple transition and an understanding transition where, even if the student wants to go to university, these scholarships are still very good because they can take that scholarship on so that they can go for a university, and when they finish university, they've already got their organisation lined up. The onboarding and induction process has all been done. The module on understanding a quality organisation has all been done, and hence they're already a high achiever when they walk in the door of the business.
Yeah. Right. And this program absolutely prepares them for the real world. And that's really awesome. Students get the experience they need to hit the ground running, and businesses get professionals who actually know what they're doing from day one. No more, so how do I turn this computer moments,
Yes, because quite often when I'm doing my contract auditing, the organisations will say to me they are very disappointed in the understanding of the new employee when they walk in that door. And you've often heard me talk about even the basics of understanding primary duty of care. So when the new employee walks in the door, whether they're straight out of year 8 or year 10 or year 12, they have to understand when they walk through that door, they have a responsibility for their own actions. They have to, and there's a responsibility of a chain of responsibility up to the senior managers. All that has to be understood before they walk in the door, and that's part of the training we will provide them.
Right. And it's also the mindset you're setting them up to be ready to actually join the organization, right?
Yes. They hit the ground running.
Yes, I know, Ian, there's so many things you still have to do today, but I have to ask, for students, parents, and businesses tuning in, what's the best way to get involved in this program? And looking ahead, how do you see it evolving to further support the development of future leaders?
Well, we'll be approaching all the schools in Australia, and in fact, all around the world. We're going to put a marketing campaign in place, and we'll also be working with companies like yourselves, X-Rays, with producing video content like this. But that's something that you and I will discuss as we go forward, so that we can get it out into the schools in the UK, in the schools in the United States, and places like that, and Mexico. And because it's not just for Australia, this is a global initiative, right? But I guess it's one of the reasons why we've joined with X-Rays is you have a global marketing focus, and that's what we need to be able to get programs like this out into the marketplace. And what better way of starting that is the interview that you and I and your professional technique is providing me the ability to give you the ins and out of the program, so that then we can take it forward to a global audience.
Yes, ACI Global is making an impact, not just in Australia, but all over the world. Wow, globally present indeed, Ian. That's the kind of forward-thinking approach we love to see here at X-Rays, turning today's learners into tomorrow's leaders. And we greatly appreciate your time and effort, as usual, for being here with us, despite your busy schedule, Ian. Your work in shaping the next generation of industry leaders is nothing short of inspiring. So thank you so much again, and I hope you don't get tired of sharing your wonderful experience and your expertise with all of us.
No, I look forward to it. And anyone that's wanting to know more about our ISO scholarship and cadetship programs only have to go to the ACI Global website, and under ISO services, they'll see it in the drop-down box. And also, just before we finish, just letting you know that we're finalising a global telephone number that we can put on our website.
Yes.
Basically, it'll take people from the close of business in Sydney to the close of business in Perth, Australia, to the close of business in the UK, to the close of business in the United States. So any time during the day, people will be able to talk to a real person to ask these questions about ACI Global Can they speak to the managing director? Yes. Are we able to have information in the video that Miles and Ian gave on the ISO scholarship program, and they can be pointed in the direction where that is on our YouTube channel?
Yes.
Things like that.
Very convenient. Thank you, Ian. So, folks, if you're a student, parent, or business looking to invest in real future-proof skills, ACI Global's ISO Scholarship Cadetship program is the place to be. And if you enjoyed today's episode or know someone in your network who could benefit from this, don't forget to share this and keep tuning in because we're here to continue bringing you the game changers of tomorrow. Catch us again next time. This has been your host, Miles. Stay focused and inspired with X-Raced.